Somebody went in here. It's about 20 after 3 a.m. We're on May 6th, the early morning. And so yesterday I started to develop a bad headache. I saw a flash across my phone screen that there was some thunder showers expected, and I find in the last few years, um, when the barometric pressure changes and it's going to rain, I get a very bad headache. So um, what I've been doing is using an ice pack um, to alleviate the pain. I find ice packs take down what I think is the swelling in the brain more effective than Advil or Tylenol. I find Tylenol doesn't do anything um, at all. Sorry, acetaminophen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's good for fevers typically to bring down a fever. But even an ice pack would probably bring down a fever faster than Tylenol. Um, but if you don't have an ice pack available, acetaminophen for a fever is good. Advil is an anti-inflammatory, so if the veins in your brain are too restricted and the blood can't get through, or they're too wide and the blood is flowing too quickly, both of those can cause migraines. Um, I had a friend who was on SSRI, antidepressants, and suffering severely from migraines. And then they put this person on a medication that's supposed to be only used very little for migraines. So they kept saying, you can't use these meds for migraines anymore, but she couldn't function without them. So it was like this, it's kind of like the opiate crisis, right? Like they get you all addicted and then they say, oh, sorry, there's a problem, you're all addicted. Now we're just going to take them away or give you some synthetic version or whatever. And so anyway, it's a shit show, and I believe it's being done on purpose. And if it's not being done on purpose, then they either don't care, they're not smart enough to do the job, or they're criminal. Those are my three conclusions that the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies either don't care, aren't smart enough to do the job, or they're criminal. And I vote for, some people in different varying positions are probably all fit into one of those categories or all three. So anyway, this person was on SSRIs, which I did a little bit of research, and they actually like widen your blood vessels in your brain. So actually, she was getting too much blood to her brain, and and her doctor told her she'd have to be hospitalized to go off of them. And the reason is because I did more research on the one she was on, and so the actual active ingredient in those pills is probably a tiny, minute piece of powder or something, or whatever natural source, whatever source it comes in. But to make it a tablet, they put all kinds of filler. So there's like plastic and wood and other stupid shit, psyllium, like which dries out the system. Um, it's a drying system. They said it's good for bed bugs because it dries the shell of the bed bugs to the point that they can't function. But anyway, uh, she was told she'd have to be hospitalized to get off of the SSRIs, and the doctor was well aware of the migraines. Never gave her any other solution. So basically, I don't know if I think she got off, but I planned a weaning off process of them. So I don't remember exactly how I do it. I took her dose, and then I just cut it. So I told her to get a pill cutter and cut the pill into four, and then take only a tiny amount less every day for a week. And then if she had sort of, once no symptoms were present from that quarter drop, then you drop another quarter. Once you have no symptoms of withdrawal from that, then you chop another quarter. And she did manage to get off of them. I don't know if she used that process, but that's what I suggest. But the problem is that the SSRIs are actually creating too much blood to the brain. So what I would suggest is when we stand, um, the the blood probably goes down into the body. When we lie down, it probably somewhat collects in the brain even more. So if you're going to um, try to alleviate some of the pressure, then I suggest sleeping or sitting, sort of more up against pillows with your head back so that the blood can kind of drain into your body. I don't know. There might be some things that help to restrict blood vessels. You might want to do some research on what foods or whatever might restrict blood vessels if you're going to stay on SSRIs. But she was also told that they were fine for pregnancy, and then her child in womb started to have seizures, and yeah, her doctor told her they were safe. And it turns out that on the actual um, medical, what is it, the, I don't remember, she looks at a very simple list of side effects that said that it's not safe for pregnant women. So yeah, so I woke up with I had a headache yesterday and I have a headache today, and I was on um, risperidone and another version, I think it's Invega, for decades, and it sterilized me. Risperidone raises your prolactin. When I was first put on it, my period stopped for 9 months and then started randomly after 9 months. Same with Invega, same amount of time, stopped for exactly 9 months and then started again. Um, Risperidone and Invega, I think it is, raise your prolactin. Prolactin is a hormone present when you're pregnant. So obviously, if your body thinks it's pregnant, it's not going to get pregnant. So anyone who's a child rearing years, you should probably look into that with those drugs because, yeah, if my life basically passed, and I'm 55 now, and you know, my prime baby making years I was spent on those drugs. And when I confronted my psychiatrist about why he never tested my prolactin, he says he's not required to do so. So by law, they don't require doctors to test for high prolactin, even in child rearing adult women, which seems like, yeah, criminal, absolute criminal. And on top of that, marginalized women tend to be the most resourceful. Um, they tend to also be the most creative when it comes to dress or budgeting, decorating. And of course, a lot of men and some females would find that extremely intimidating, and they would not want marginalized people having children and doing well. I can't even I can't even imagine a society of people that actually um, does these things on purpose. Um, the torture that they put me through, and risperidone also can possibly create tumors on the pituitary gland. And I have a large lump on the back of my head. I shaved my head a few years ago and into a mohawk, and then shaved it entirely. And I have a lump on the back of my head. And basically, Dr. Sue Stevenson, who is my family doctor here in Guelph, she basically did, can you see this? Can you see this? You don't have a tumor. She never ever, um, she never gave me um, a CAT scan or anything like that to actually check. And the other day I went into the general hospital. What a shit show. I have no idea what's going on there, but you go through some sort of like weird, what's it called? Like a portable, that's out in the parking lot, and you go up this ramp and you go in, and yeah, it's like freaky as shit. And then they escort you into another part of the hospital. Like, it's freaky as shit. Anyway, I went in there because in my mind's eye, I can see like a squiggly line, like not on the outside, but in my internal eye, I can see a squiggly line as if um, something's vibrating. I would say it's a vein. So I was thinking I may have a brain aneurysm because like I knew someone who had one and she was functioning. I haven't seen her for years. I don't know if she died from it, but anyway, so I went in for that and the doctor did a CAT scan, but didn't just said everything was fine, and then tried to send me to get my eyes tested. And I'm sorry, but if you're not going to take my concerns seriously about what I went in for, and now you're going to test me for something else. And that happened to me at the walk-in clinic in Guelph too. I went in with numbness in this hand, which can be a sign of heart problems, but I wasn't sure if it was coming from my rotator cuff. So not only did he not diagnose that and look at that, he sent me to get tests for carpal tunnel and ended up diagnosing me with carpal tunnel in my right wrist and never addressed the shoulder and numbness in this finger ever. The same doctor, I went in with ulcers on my tongue, and he tested me for everything. He did extensive blood work, took more blood from me, and put me on massive amounts of iron, even though I don't feel lethargic enough for it to be an iron deficiency. I might be a little low in iron, but not 300 milligrams a day. Okay. And he never addressed the ulcers. I ended up I have a tube of Fusidin, which is like an antibiotic cream. I ended up coating my tongue in it and literally letting my saliva drain into the sink, which is horribly uncomfortable. And I had to do that for about a week. But I believe what it's coming from is sugar. Like I I ate too many of those sour keys or those candies, those chewy candies that are coated in sugar. And that's what I think caused it. Because twice it happened to me, both from eating those sour keys. So if you have those ulcers, I suggest getting any kind of antibiotic. So polysporin might work. Coat your tongue with it, let it drool into the sink, and then after about 20 minutes, wipe it as clean as you can, and then keep doing it, because I managed to get the ulcers. They've been putting those warnings on those cigarette packs for I don't know how long, and now all of a sudden they've got warnings on those cigarette packs with tongues, all ulcered and stuff like that. And it's not coming from the cigarette, it's guaranteed. I bet you any money it's coming from sugar. That's my feeling. And there's a woman in my church who just had one of those stupid things, um, biopsy. Now they're biopsying them. The woman can, I had them all up and down my tongue. I was in fucking agony. And I went 3 or 4 times to this walk-in clinic, and this man didn't ever treat the ulcers. Put me on massive amounts of iron instead, which can kill you in massive amounts. So if you're going to a doctor right now, make sure you do as much background research as you can on your symptoms and try and have some idea what the problem is. If you Google your symptoms and don't look at the first 5 entries, go below that. I was told that Google will feed you bullshit. First of all, the last section, you might get some more realistic answers. Ask your friend to Google it. Ask your family to Google it. See if they get different answers. Because sometimes I'll Google something and an answer will pop up, and I Google the exact same thing and I don't get the same thing. So be very aware. When I was in school, and my father taught me to critically think. My dad grew up in a wealthy family. He knows the bullshit that goes on when money gets involved, right? Like, it gets really crazy when money gets involved. So, and I don't know what to tell you about that, except my head feels better. Use an ice pack for headaches as much as you can. It takes a while. You might have to sit there for an hour, hour and a half, but just move it around your head. Whatever part starts to hurt, like yoga ease, chase the pain. You put your ice pack here, and then you're noticing a little pressure back here. The back of the neck works perfectly. The forehead, the temples, the cheeks, right? Um, yeah, because yeah, I don't think I'm doing very well. Health wise, uh, I don't think I'm doing very well. Um, but I'm keeping trucking. I keep trucking. Yeah, yo.